and immediately thereafter is January 1st or New Year's Eve. So
Right.
why don't we circle around this week, just touch bases, you and I, with everyone. We'll do joint calls just to see, you guys hearing me? Okay, just to see where everyone is at. And then let's see what we need to do to kind of facilitate something, for the first week in January. Just so we get we'll get a status before then,
Right.
as to where everyone's at, and then we'll figure out, how we move forward at that point.
I think that makes sense. If I could weigh in with one thing, I felt I was going to bring up tonight, and I know we've talked within our subcommittee meetings about this a bit, is that we may want to reach out to Chief and the city council people to see if they can extend the timeline for the draft report, given the pandemic, which is heating back up. I mean, their thing is, in talking, because I happened to run into a couple administration people this past week by chance, and I said, well, we are working on it. It's slow because we're dealing with different things, but we are getting there. Nothing specific, because I don't want to talk out of school. Yeah. And they said, well, we're for the draft report, we really want a real draft. I'm like, well, we want that too. I said, what would be the reception if we needed more time to do that? And they said, totally on board.
Okay.
So I think we may want, if we reach out to Chief now and say, we're not going to ask for it yet, but we may want it.
Yeah.
What would it take to do it? What would it take for you to put that in place? That might be a good move.
Okay. So why don't we first, before we make that determination, I think it's best if we just reach out to everyone independently. You and I will start that like tomorrow. Sure. And then we'll make an assessment, and then we'll just send an email out. If we bought more time, we'll just send an email out to that effect.
Great. Josh just signed in too, so I know that he's here.
All right. That's
fine. I think we do have some subcommittee reports that people are prepared to give, just briefly, if that makes sense to you.
Sure.
Do you want to just go through? Diana, do you want to lead off with our team, with the team that I'm on with you? And with Martin?
So the information that I wanted to share tonight, I know we met on Sunday, and it was about the concept of the consumer facing informational website, the vanity website. Since that meeting on Sunday, I created a basic wireframe, which is very bare bones, and I have that ready as a PDF to share that. Would you want me to upload it to our shared drives or just email the group?
I think uploading it makes, everybody has access to the shared drive, right?
Okay.
You can do either. You can do both if you want. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
All right.
One doesn't include the other.
Right. I know that one of the things we were working on too was, and I spoke to Josh last night about it, Anna, when we met with our subcommittee meeting, that you might reach out to him for the mapping to try and link the diagram that you were going to create in Visio with the actual geographical data.
Yes.
And he said, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. I believe. I don't want to speak for Josh out of turn, but I believe, Josh, if you want to weigh in on that.
Yeah, sure. I should be. I have to look at it, but I should be able to help.
Okay, great. Now, with the tools that you have, does it require license or subscription, or is it something that is published on a website? It's a tool.
So the ones I have two. I have ArcMap and Tableau, which are both I have through my job. Okay. It should be, I'll double check with my boss and stuff. It should be fine for me to use them for this.
I see.
And once you have to pay, there's free version.
That's what I've been researching about. Yeah.
Yeah, but once they're done, they can go anywhere, if that makes sense. So with Tableau, once it's finished, like we can embed it in any website. And ArcMap, you're like making like a PDF, and then you have those shape files. So once we have them, then they can kind of go anywhere, and we should be able to post them wherever we want. And if we have anyone else that has like a subscription, or we could use the free version, we could kind of update them if we needed.
Okay, and adding it as a hard copy into a draft report shouldn't be a problem at all. I used Tableau a bit when I was working for tax and finance. So, I mean, as far as I know, we were able to do reports with no problems at all.
Okay, I know with most softwares, it's more, like the free edition, it's freemium as long as it's not used for commercial intent.
Right. So what I'm saying is, but if you create a diagram in Visit, in Visit, and then give that to Josh could then use that in Tableau or ArcMap to add in basically the rest of the data. So you have one consolidated look to the diagram, which makes sense.
So Ash, is there a file format that's preferred, or would something just like a PDF, or the Visio file type itself would be compatible with the software you have?
Yeah, I think you can save the Visio file as a PDF.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So I would just do that. And if there's any revisions, you do it in Visio and then just save it as PDF.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then, the question is, would that, because it's a PDF, would that give Josh what he needs to create it in his software and marry the two?
Oh,
That's where I'm not sure. If I recall correctly from Tableau, I think Tableau will accept the Visio file formats, I think.
Yeah, I've never used Visio. When you put data in, is it kind of putting it directly into it, or like are you using an Excel sheet?
Well, no, it's really just a layout. It's like laying out a diagram. Use different shapes to do to represent different things. You've got arrows. So basically you create the image and it would just lay on top of whatever you had behind that. So
it's not dynamic where it's integrated, like where it's referencing like actual live data.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I can look at it and then we can meet and talk about it.
Cool.
And yeah, I'll see what I can do with it.
Great. All right. Let's see. Speaking for our subcommittee, we met Josh and Ed and I. We are identifying cities and towns for comparison. Our goal is 10 each. I'll speak a little bit about it, then I'm going to let Josh and Ed both speak to what they're seeing. But mostly the biggest challenges that we have are that most of the communities that have a fiber network like we're looking for are much smaller than our city.
Yeah.
I mean, like on a scale of
35,000. Yeah.
Well, smaller than that. Actually, most are, less than 1,000 to right around 10,000 max. But we have found a few that are a little above our city size.
Yep.
So we're trying to build them in as well. I can speak to one example which I found really intriguing. Fort Collins, because we were talking a little bit about this last night. We also, when we can't find a place that really does this, Ed pointed out that he hadn't found one that had a free tier yet for people that are for people that are in severe hardship. Fort Collins, Colorado does have a very low cost tier, which still has a decent speed. It's a 1 gig speed for $20 a month for those that qualify. And it actually identifies it as part of their digital digital equity program. And it's if you income qualify, then you can get one gig speeds for a flat $20 a month. But we're looking to see what the tiers are. We've started to create a spreadsheet with some of that data. That's my part of it. Ed, do you want to add in what you were weighing in on last night a little bit?
Well, it's we talked a little bit last night about kind of some of the motivation behind wanting to move forward, which we addressed. Obviously, providing a service for our community and for people in need, but also talked a little bit about how, with some situations on, the monopolies that these big companies have and their other interests, how, for a municipality like Albany, it could lead to, conflicts of interest. For example, when a corporation, isn't following net neutrality guidelines, and that puts, I think there's more impetus for our city to move away from this so that we don't have that kind of situation come up in the future.
Great. Josh, did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys both covered it pretty well. I think what I found most interesting that I didn't realize before is how all these different places that provide their own internet have like this tiered service. I always imagined it kind of be like one level. But I think it's interesting that there's so many. Like, I think all the ones I looked at, that give you faster speeds as you go up in price. But I think all of the lowest levels still gave you like sufficient speed at an affordable price. So I think that it gives us a little bit more flexibility, when we're planning, to kind of figure out how we want to set up the prices and stuff like that.
Right. And as I said, the one thing which I felt good about was that we did finally find one that has what it identifies as an income-driven tier, which is nice, and it's one of the bigger cities. So it's, as I say, Fort Collins is 165,000 people, so it's decent size. It's well west of here, so what their costs are might be less. And how dense the community is certainly a factor, because out there they tend to spread out a bit more. But it gives us a model that we can look at. And all of them, I think, Josh, I think you said this, and I think you said it too, that we've looked at so far appear to offer both commercial and residential services with slight price variations between those two groups. Usually it's not a ton, but I think the idea was that someone involved in a business is more likely to go for the higher, like the top speed tiers that cost a bit more. And in our city, we certainly have plenty of that. So it might be a way to help offset the cost of creating a free tier or a really low cost tier for those that qualify. That's what we have so far.
That's good. Anybody else on the call that wants to contribute anything? Right, I really haven't done much since the last, since we canceled the last meeting, just because my job, we have everybody quitting all at once in December. Network, server administrator, email administrator, help desk manager, and a network guy moved to a different division. So we are like all at once. So I've been a little backed up at work. Actually, we have 4 locations. So I really haven't had a lot of chance to dig in a little deeper since we canceled the last meeting. But I did identify, like I said, some cities that I've been speaking to or corresponding with, and I should send those things to you guys. I wanted to get a little bit deeper, so I'd have more information from each city, kind of a summary,
Sure.
But I'll just, I'll provide what I've got and I'll put it up on the site and then as well as email it out to everybody.
Great.
And then Craig, let's just, like I said, let's just circle back with everyone on a one-on-one basis and just
Sure.
figure out, where folks are at. And then if we feel like we need to buy a little bit more time, it's fine, because again,
The goal is
we
to
thought
find,
about
right.
Yeah.
The goal is to-
just the holidays were just crazy for everyone. And I understand
Yeah.
that. And I'm even going to be traveling a bit on this next holiday season. So I get it.
Sure.
I get
But
it.
yeah, it's reasonable. I mean, the fact is, I looked at some of the development plans that people had, and the initial draft report was usually a
Yeah.
6-month active period, not, we'll put
Yeah.
the together and do it. It was 6 months from when they first met to when they did the draft. So,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think it's not an unreasonable request. The other thing which I did, I talked to the research director for the Center for Technology and Government, because I was talking to her for a different reason. And I said, we may be reaching out to them for some guidance and some insight on places that we may want to look. And she's more than and I see if we decide that a formal request would come from the commissioner from the city to bring them and to ask them. And she said more than willing to do it. This is part of what they do, and that would be free. So just a thought that might add some flesh to what we're looking to do.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, I'm booked tomorrow, but I'm available pretty much the rest of the week if you want to touch base, and we can start making calls and see what's going on.
All right. So Thursday's fine for me. I'm
Okay.
I'm at work this week. I'm in the office this week, but I
Sure.
still have time, during, I'm in the office every other week. So this is my weekend,
Sure.
but I'll make some time between 12 and 2, if that's cool with you for to connect.
That's
right?
perfect. Yeah, no, that's not a problem at all.
Okay.
All right, sir.
All right, before you guys sign off, I just have a couple things. So in the last meeting, you guys asked how like the preliminary report submission works. So I found out how that works. So basically, so as of right now, since the extension hasn't been requested, the due date is January 19th. And we have to have it to our law department about a week before then. So that would be kind of making it even more close. So what you would do is you would send the report to me, and then I would send the report to the law, and then the council and the mayor. And then if the council and the mayor have any recommendations or requests after reviewing the report, they'll let me know and I'll get that to you. But that doesn't always happen. Sometimes there's recommendations, sometimes there's not. And then the only other thing was the executive order that allows public meetings to be held virtually, that expires January 15th. And I'm pretty sure that with everything going on with the new variant, it's very likely that's going to be extended. But as of right now, it hasn't been extended. So I'll definitely kind of keep you guys updated on that going forward. But I imagine, depending on when you guys want to meet next, probably, I know we've been meeting like every 2 weeks, so the next meeting won't be a problem. But the one after that may be a little bit tricky, depending on when they actually make that decision. So.
Right. Ira, based on what just said about when the preliminary draft would have to be due and who it would have to go to first, the fact that we're talking about not really meeting again formally probably until after the first of the year, I'm going to suggest we put that formal request in now.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think,
So
now that we have those facts,
Yeah, I'll speak to Owusu. I actually will see him either tonight or tomorrow night.
Oh, great.
So I will speak to him, and then you figure out we'll go from there. But I'll reach out to you on Thursday,
Sure.
Craig, just so that we can, or I'll definitely text you with his response. Okay.
Great. Thank you, sir. All right.
All right. Okay. There's nothing else. Anything else from anybody?
I think we're good.
Okay. So then just send out the note of the next meeting and we'll go from there. All right.
Great. All righty.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
And then everybody.
Days.
Aye.